Well, I must be on a roll today. Oh my goodness. It's like the most, probably the most content I've ever attempted to try and put out in as short amount of time as possible, though admittedly it's not that amazing content. Hello everyone. This is part 3 of Symphony of the Night. Hopefully you've watched the first 2 parts. Hopefully they were pretty good. I, I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Maybe they're entertaining, I don't know. In any case, in the downtime between the last video and this one, which is probably a few hours, give or take, I went ahead and off-screen, or rather off-recording, went and picked up some new stuff. I did a little bit of farming on a couple of different enemies. One in particular, the hunter girl in the chapel, which gave me the werebane, which by itself took an hour and a half to get. And then I've also got this new lovely, ooh, excuse me, soda. Ugh. This new lovely two-handed sword called the Flamberge, I guess, which dropped off a cloak knight in the clock tower. Admittedly, this took a exceedingly stupid amount of time, and I would rather not do that in a full recording because it's not fun. It's really monotonous and stupid. But yeah, got that. I also went back to the library and I bought a diamond breastplate because, well, my defense stat is now nice. And I also bought a ring of pails because reasons. Just gives me a nice little happy stat boost. So now, as it goes, since we've done all that, I went ahead and saved at the outer wall. In my last video, I ended it with pressing a big switch, which opened up a couple of new pathways that we can go through. So we're going to head that way now and go do that. Yeah. Admittedly, this is a lot better than that star flail I had, though I have a feeling this thing is going to end up being relegated to, or relegated back to the inventory eventually. It just kind of feels like it'll end up screwing me down the road, because it is, as far as I can tell, according to the description, it is a, what is it? A flame-edged sword, so I'm assuming it's got a fire element status attached to it, which is fine, I think, for the vast majority of stuff I'm going to encounter in the next little while, but, like, I know later on down the road there's going to be enemies that are specifically fire-based, and I have a feeling this thing's going to end up being completely ineffective against them. But in the meantime, I'm quite pleased with it. Quite pleased with this sword. Only thing is I can't equip a shield now, so I can't do shield dashing anymore while I have this thing equipped, which, I don't know. It's not really hurting my feelings at this point. I'm not missing it, so I can live with that. So that big switch, first of all, it opened up this little spot. Oh boy, a library card. Something that nobody has anymore, I guess. Or that people probably do, but I imagine younger individuals probably do not. I don't even think I have one anymore. I used to years ago. But for clarification's sake, that item, all it does, it warps you back to the librarian, warps you back to the item shop. So pretty useful, pretty handy, I guess, in case you run up into some bullshit and you need to make a quick exit. Alright, so here's a new area, the Underground Cavern. I'm just gonna let the music play for a bit. I don't really have a whole lot to say. This is one of my favorite tracks in the game, so. And I just completely canceled it with a save room. Of course I did. But yeah, I'm just gonna let it play, and once I feel it's made a good loop, then I'll jut back in and assault your ears with my abrasive voice. Okay, yeah, and anybody who actually probably, like, if anybody actually knows me, they could probably guess, like, oh yeah, of course Jared likes this music. It's really cool, it's really chill and atmospheric, and it's got a piano, like, and an organ. Like, this is for me, like, this is the kind of music in Castlevania I genuinely enjoy. And plus, I just love this area of the castle. It's probably easily one of my favorites, just because it's really the only area like this in the castle. It's basically the underground waterway. It's the water stage, essentially, but it's probably one of the better water-themed stages or areas you'll see in a video game, just because it's not so, I don't know, it's not so goofy with how it treats water stuff. Now, keep in mind, and I don't know, you might have noticed it last video when we were in the clock tower. Right now, Alucard is totally vulnerable to water. If he touches water, he starts to take damage. It's like 1 HP per second, so this place can present a few challenges, but it's nothing too major. It's not the hardest area ever. And like I said, it's kind of a chilled, relaxed, kind of slow-paced. You know, the enemy types here are they're not so like horribly numerous. Like it's again, it's pretty chill area. Now we want to go this way because we have some kind of boss coming up. Ugh. Well, we did have a boss coming up as a Skilla worm. So if that's a Skilla worm, then what is that worm? Where did that worm come from? I don't know. I wonder. As you can see, that water stuff, that was no joke. Like, Alucard will die real quick in water. But let's see. So we've got columns. Looks like I don't know, vaguely Greek columns. And what is this? Why, it's Skilla. Yeah, she was pretty easy boss. That diamond breastplate really is a little goofy, but the only reason I picked it up, frankly, was that I had a bunch of what do you call them? I had a bunch of these like gem rings, and they're all sellable at the librarian. I had a good little handful of them. Ooh, and you know, just kind of brought in some cash, and I was like, I'll buy it. Makes a big old difference. Kind of maybe makes it a little too big of a difference, but still. And so now I have a new cloak, the crystal cloak, enchanted semi-invisible cape. This is one of my favorite cloaks in the game, actually, because of just how neat it looks. I love the color. I love the transparency effect on it. This game actually has a lot of really cool like 2D transparency effects and just neat little visual effects all throughout it. It's just such a nice little just such a nice looking game. You know, as a matter of fact, it's actually weird. This game, when it was released, Sony, you know, Sony Computer Entertainment or whatever you want to call it, they kind of had a mandate initially for early development adopters on PlayStation. They didn't want any 2D games. They only wanted strictly 3D games. That's why, like, at launch PlayStation, you saw games like Ridge Racer, Jumping Flash, Crash Bandicoot, like all these really specifically like big 3D games. And so this game kind of it's a little bit of like an odd duck out in terms of PlayStation games. You know, it has some 3D elements here and there, but for the vast majority of it, it's just 2D stuff. So that just makes, to me, this just makes the game even more special. It's just like, okay, Konami was like, dev team was like, you know what, the hell with that, it's a stupid thing. Oh, I feel bad for these dudes, these armor knights. I think that's what they're called. Oh well. But yeah, so this is like a game that, in the midst of, you know, Sony's apparent very quick domination of the home console market worldwide, well, at least in the United States, and they were pushing so hard for just strictly 3D games, and then you get this, which is kind of flying in the face of that, but man, it certainly leaves a big old impression. And of course that mandate, after like the first couple of years of PlayStation, that really kind of became an extinct concept. Like you started seeing a lot of developers really push limits on like 2D stuff, but Konami was pretty good about that. I know they had this like Suikoden and its sequel. I know like there was Alundra. I remember that was a big one, big kind of like a 2D Zelda-esque game. Klonoa from Namco at the time. I believe that was. I think that was technically a sort of 2.5D game, but that had a lot of 2D assets in it. So I mean, it's the whole only make 3D games. It wasn't really a hard and fast rule after a good little while, which I'm fine with. I like them both, frankly, 3D and 2D. But I don't know, 2D games are they just have a certain feel to them that I like. Oh, also for some reason we fell down a waterfall and now we're in like an ice cavern. I remember the first time I actually played this game. That I remember getting here to this section of the castle, the Underground Cavern, and I remember going through most of it and thinking, okay, well that's it, and then I'm not sure what even possessed me to think about it. I ended up looking up a complete map, like a 100%ed map of the game, and I noticed that there was like a whole huge like section I had never been to. And I was like, oh, well, what is this? And so we'll get to that here in a little bit. I'll show you.
Welcome aboard, O Prince. Shall I guide thee across the river?
Sure. But we'll get to that when we get to it. I'll point out exactly where it is, because it's actually, I would argue, it's almost bullshit how to get to these particular areas that I'm referring to, because the game doesn't really breadcrumb you in that direction. It's not as obvious as I think the developers thought it was, at least in my view. And I tend to catch shit like that a lot, like, oh, hey, that looks like a secret place. I love shit like that in video games. I wish more games had stuff like that. Games like Doom, Donkey Kong Country, all these like cool, like, oh, I wonder if I can open that, or I wonder if there's something under there, stuff like that. What did I get? The merman statue summons the oarsman. We'll make use of that in a moment. But this is basically the area. Now, right now, obviously, there's a whole slew of paths and stuff I could take that are under the water that I cannot currently get to, because I require a relic to do that. Also note, look at that transparency on his cloak. That's really cool. That's just like, it's a really kind of silly, almost cheap novel effect, but I just love that. Like, it's just such a neat little thing. Just an extra little bit of visual flair for no other reason than, hey, it looks good. Looks cool. Let's see, we gotta get rid of these frozen shades. These things actually drop a pretty cool sword, if I remember correctly. But they're so easy to kill. I'm gonna actually try this once and just see what happens. I'm not gonna sit here and farm for it, but if they drop it, that would be neat to get it. But of course they don't. My luck is not so great with this run right now, as expected, considering the amount of work I had to put into just getting the Werebane and the Flamberger. Oh my god, that was just that was honestly a horrendous experience. I would not wish it upon anybody to have to sit there and, especially the Werebane. That was honestly just a massive pain in the ass to get. It occurs to me, I don't think I can get back up there, actually. I think I gotta go... I think I gotta go the long way around now. It's not a big deal, but... it is a little obnoxious. Because I know exactly where I want to go, and I can't quite get to it right now. I'm gonna need a... Well, I know exactly what I need, actually, but... Incidentally, I need... Because, I can... Amazingly enough, I bet most people kind of forgot that you could even do this. I can transform into a wolf right now, but I can't transform into anything else. And I know there's a bat transformation and a mist transformation, but I do not remember where they are. Like, I genuinely do not remember where the hell they are. So, yeah. We're gonna actually check back here real quick, just for a moment. I haven't, it's been a while since I was last back here. This is literally the very beginning of the castle, the very first thing on the map you go through. But part of the reason I want to go back this way is because there's a pretty cool enemy to investigate over this way. This dude. So yeah, he's a knight with an owl. So let's see. And he uses his owl to attack you. But you can kill the owl, and look! He gets really upset about it. Like, I almost feel bad for the guy. Except I really don't, because he's, literally trying to murder me. But yeah, again, I believe that, well, I don't know, I think they show up later, but right now I know at this point in the game that's the only place you'll encounter that specific enemy. And, it's just so nice, like the little bits of extra detail that the devs add to give just a little bit of extra personality to something that you'll probably never see again. Which incidentally, I forget, I don't know if I think he does show up in, I think, because I know a lot of the Symphony enemies show up in Dawn of Sorrow. I think he's in there, I think. He's in one of the DS or Nintendo DS Castlevanias. I don't think it's. I think it is Dawn of Sorrow, because I know he's not in Portrait of Ruin, and I'm pretty positive he's not in Order of Ecclesia. So, I don't know. That was just like a neat little fun thing. Makes me laugh. It's just nice to see, especially with like 2D art, like 3D stuff. Yeah, I mean, you can make expressive stuff pretty easily in 3D nowadays. I mean, I saw the Death Stranding trailer the other day, and like them some pretty expressive motion captured faces, I must say. But like when you're dealing with 2D stuff, just 2D sprites, like you really have to kind of use like exaggerated animation and just simple little stuff like that to just go the little extra mile to give a little more give a little more personality to stuff like these bloody zombies. Apologies for headphone users again. They don't have to like split in half and bleed all over the place and scream like crazy, but they do, and it just adds a little extra to when you encounter them and when you eventually slice them down. Goodbye, not Cthulhu. Or Cthulhu, as they spell it in this game. I don't know though, I've heard so many different ways of pronouncing that name, I just say Cthulhu. It seems to be the general accepted way it's said. I think it's the scholar, like a literary scholar, what's his name? S.T. Yoshi. He's like an H.P. Lovecraft expert, and he pronounces it Cthulhu, and I'm just like, that's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard, but okay. Cthulhu. Like, I don't know, I would take someone a lot less seriously if they came up to me and they started talking about like weird eldritch fiction and they referred to Cthulhu as Cthulhu. I'd be like, come again? I'm sorry, do you have a pickle in your mouth? What are you eating? Like, swallow your food before you speak. Speaking of food, I really need to eat something here in a little bit. Okay, so I guess as far as the current game plan goes, this will be part 3. I have no idea how many parts this little adventure will be. Like, I honestly couldn't tell you. Like, the last time I played this game, I think I kind of ran through it as fast as I could. I think I kind of finished it under like the 4-hour mark, give or take. But since I'm kind of trying to be a bit informative, and I'm trying to like actually, I don't know, do stuff and show off neat stuff, might end up taking a little longer than that. And oh my god, everything drops that fucking crappy bamboo sword. I don't understand that. It's like the 3rd enemy I've encountered. Oh, they added a bell, that's neat. It's like the 3rd enemy I've encountered that does that. And also too, we're taking a small break from the Underground Caverns because I really want to show off this area, because this is the area I need to go to get what I desperately need, like right now. This is Olrox's quarters. This is also another one of my favorite areas, and if not for the acid funk thing that happens later in the game, this would actually probably be my favorite piece of music in the game. It's absolutely phenomenal. A wonderful, beautiful piano piece. And incidentally, if you go on YouTube and if you search for I think it's called I think you could type in Michiru Yamane or Yamane Dance of Pails. I think that's what the name of the song is, I believe. If you type that in, you can actually find a video of Michiru Yamane playing this song live on a piano with a live orchestra, and it's just, ooh, it's wonderful. It just sounds so good. It's just so nice. Okay. Gotta love the creativity of that name. Hammer. Blade. But not Wesley Snipes' blade, unfortunately. I would much rather have that. What does he say in the movie? I forget. Is it some motherfucker's always trying to ice skate uphill or something like that? Oh man. It's been forever since I've seen that movie. I remember Udo Kier's in that movie, actually. Weird bit of random trivia about the Blade movie for some reason. Udo Kier is in it. If you don't know who Udo Kier is, that's okay. He would be fine with that too, I think. He's a German? Austrian actor? I'd have to Google that later. Google him later. You'll I don't know. Maybe you'll be interested in seeing his work. Or maybe not. I don't know. But he was in Blade. He plays one of the elder statesman vampires in that movie. It's just really... Like, in hindsight, that movie's really weird. I don't know how... Like, I'm so happy it exists, because it's a really cool movie. And it's aged surprisingly well, actually, I think. Last I saw it, it did. But it is still, though, it's a very, very weird movie. Like, it's a miracle that movie got made. And in terms of especially in terms of the quality control on it, I mean, it's still pretty good movie. Okay. Now here's another area. I feel like this would be a 3rd area we've gone through, or gone to. We haven't gone through all these areas, but we've gone to them. It's the Colosseum. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's the Colosseum. It's right smack dab in the middle of Dracula's castle. Yeah, it's not much really to say. Well, I guess I could say that this area actually has a lot of really cool enemies, and also has at least at this point in the game has some of the more, or some of the tougher enemies that you'll encounter on your initial playthrough, and it's got a pretty cool boss. That you have to deal with, which I'll kind of, when we get to it, I'll talk a little more about it. Also, too, just for the record, you see that big old monster in the background. That is actually a boss. I think that's a boss in Rondo of Blood. I could be wrong. I do know, however, that it's also a boss in Portrait of Ruin that shows up fairly early on in that game. We got ourselves a blood cloak. Is it better than what I've got? No. No. And also, too, to anybody who's fans of sub-weapons in Castlevania games, I do apologize for not really utilizing them much. I don't find myself using them that much in this game. Later titles like Dawn of Sorrow and Order of Ecclesia, well, no, Order of Ecclesia doesn't really have them, but Dawn of Sorrow and Portrait of Ruin especially, I use them quite frequently. But this one, there's really no reason to. Like, they end up just being kind of crappier than any of your equipped weapons and stuff, so it just kind of ends up being a waste to use them. You know, they're just not really that useful. And also, these horses are just, wow. Get out of here. Damn. I don't know what. I love the detail in the background artwork here. Like there's a room number for that door, and the mask with the glowing eyes. There's like some armaments on the wall that's been caved in. You know, just little stuff like that. See, and they even. Oh my God, no. Nope. Yeah. He can still hurt me very badly, so I kind of take back what I said. The sub-weapons are useful sometimes. Certain enemies they're very useful on, like that thing. Because that thing will ruin your day. Pretty hard if given the opportunity. I think I'm gonna go here though, because I'm gonna open this path, which goes back to the chapel. Ooh, damn. Oh, this is a neat. Okay, I want to show this one off, because this game. So in Castlevania, the standard sub weapons usually, the little item weapons I've been picking up, you know, it's usually the dagger, axe, boomerang or cross, depends on the game, and the holy water and the stopwatch, which I don't think I've ever even attempted to use so far in this playthrough. In this game, they actually, and then the Bible, which was introduced in Rondo of Blood, it's also in this one. But in this game, they introduced a couple of new sub-weapons. One of them is the Holy Wafer, which is as useless as it sounds. It's literally you throw holy wafers at, you know, like the ones you get at communion. You throw them at enemies and they just plop on the ground and enemies walk on them. Or is it ash? I think it might be holy ash. I have to look that up. It's one of the others, either wafers or ash. I think it's ash. That would make more sense. And then of course you got this thing, which I'll show it off real quick. It's really neat. It's a glove that lets you shoot lightning at shit, and it's like really cool. It's really strong, actually. The only real problem with it though is that, kind of like the dagger, you can only aim it directly forward in front of you. It doesn't, you know, it's not really the most versatile weapon in the game by any stretch. And also, we're gonna go back this way because I believe that's a boss room that I've kind of left that little gap in the map on. Get out of here, Blade Master. Well, I think dropped a pretty good item, but I'm not going to farm him. It's like the only issue I have with this game, and it's not even so much the actual. It's not the conceit. Namakura? Ooh, what is that? I guess that's interesting. Ooh, a poorly made sword. Wow, great. It's not so much the conceit of, like, you know, enemies dropping items and there being like a drop rate percentage. I don't mind that. I mean, that's like every RPG that's ever existed. But my only problem is this game is really stingy about it. And so it's like when you're actually farming for some certain item, weapon, whatever, and it can really test your fucking patience. Oh shit.
Who are you? Servants, come forth from the gates of hell!
Your blood. The scent of your blood.
You're a Belmont! Attack! Rid my castle of this pest!
Okay. Well, okay, so here's the boss, and we just found Richter. So Maria's been looking for him. We found him, in a sense. Oh dear, this is... Okay. Now I wonder, I do 39 damage to him with that. I'm really curious. Does the Werebane do more damage to him? I bet it doesn't, but... Where is it? There you are, Werebane. Well... about this. I mean, it's like a little weaker, but not by much.
A Belmont for certain. So he says he's the lord of this castle.
The plot doth thicken. So, when Richter Belmont went missing, 4 years after he defeated Dracula, apparently now he inherited Dracula's castle? How strange. Also, too... Well, where... Am I missing something here? Transform into mist. Okay. Okay, have I lost my mind? Surely I haven't. And yet it sure does seem that way. Is it on? Huh. Okay, so... Maybe I have to leave the room and then... No? Well, this is embarrassing. Either my controller is just completely fucked and the L2 and R2 buttons do not work, or something is wrong. Something is genuinely wrong with this game because I cannot seem to turn into mist. This is really weird. This is really weird, in fact. Let me see something. Let me try this. Let's see. We want to... I'm sorry I have to do this, but it's important because I cannot imagine... Because, like, I know the L and R2 buttons on my controller work. There is no question about that. But, like, I cannot turn into mist. Period. You can hear me tapping. Tap, 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 tapping. Oh dear. Well, this presents a very, very interesting problem, and then some. Unless something has changed, which I don't think it has. Okay, well, that's nice, but why can't I do mist form? That is really fucking weird. Like, I would almost chalk it up to a glitch, but that doesn't make any sense because I have yet... Oh, he's a neat enemy, by the way. I haven't... Oh, god damn, he just flat out exploded. Haven't noticed any issues as far as that is concerned. It's like, in terms of... This may warrant further investigation. Well, in the meantime, there's this horrible room. Shield rod, yes. All right, that could prove very useful. Could prove very useful, actually. Okay. Well. Unless... But that wouldn't make any sense. Why would they do that? Like, it's always... Because I have to remember, this is the PSP version, and so that version did not have L2 and R2 buttons. It had an L button and an R button, I think. Let me see something real quick. I'm curious. What if I do this? Okay, what? What the hell? Why? I just... Are you... Oh my god, okay. So that explains it. Oh my god, that is fucked. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense. So logical problem solving, just kind of working backwards. So yeah, this, again, this version of Symphony of the Night was a port on the PSP, so PSP does not have L2 or R2 buttons. So L button, L1 turns me into the wolf, as normal. The other buttons do nothing. However, if I hit L1 and R1 together, I get my mist form. That is really dumb. Like, oh boy, that kind of speaks to the quality of this port. Like, you can literally tell that when this was ported, there wasn't much being done as far as like quality of life improvements. This is literally just the PSP port, like brought over to PlayStation 4 with literally no changes whatsoever. That's a bit dumb, but I can live with that because in the original PlayStation game, you've got the L1, L2, R1, R2, and all the transformations are mapped to different buttons. So I think like Mist is, I want to say Mist is R2, and then Wolf is L1 like usual, and then the bat form, which we'll get at some point here in the near future, is L2, I believe. Okay, so, right. I guess, well, following that, since we've actually done sort of what I wanted to do, I really wanted to kind of get through more of the Underground Cavern, but we had to take a long detour, which then led to part of Olrox's quarters, and then now I think we've basically totally finished the Colosseum. I think. Well, kind of. Believe so. In any case, I think I'm going to call this video here because I was a little bit frazzled by the whole form of mist thing, because that was genuinely scaring the crap out of me, because I was like, oh please tell me there's not something wrong with my controller. These things cost like $60 a pop, and I don't feel like that right now. But yeah, so this is, I guess, the end of part 3. Please stay tuned for part 4. It's coming eventually. Probably as soon as part 3 goes up. As soon as this video goes up, I'll get started on part 4, and we'll continue this lovely, lovely little adventure. Thank you for watching.